Yo, what is up, YouTube? So today is finally the day. We are going to be going over everything you need to know to get a good Trackblazer, the new scenario, or otherwise known as make a new track, a good scenario going, a good career going for your Uma Musume. Let's go ahead and get started. If you guys do find this helpful to you at all, leave a like, subscribe, leave a comment below, as well as use code MAMBO for 10% off your gamer subs. Let's get right into it. So Trackblazer, start of the climax. This is the new scenario. If you go to the career and you are basically in the scenario select screen, you can always go back and play the Unity Cup URA finale. But we're going to give you the quick tips that pretty much everyone needs to know to understand like how to do well in this career. How do you go from like getting A+ Umas with like a random assortment of stats to something like this, right? Where I was able to get this pretty nice Machigana Tanhoiza with the stats that I wanted, capped out speed, stamina. Obviously, it's going to depend on the cards that you have. So full disclosure, this is the deck that I used. But what can you do to maximize the stats with the cards that you have? This is the question. This is the question that I aim to answer with this video. So let's take a look. What I have over here are a few guidelines, some tips, some pointers, some things to keep in mind when doing a Trackblazer scenario. So first things first is to understand that not all Uma Musume are going to do well on this scenario. This scenario, essentially what it is your Uma Musume is going to blaze their own track. They're blazing their new trail, right? And so they've completely abandoned any sort of career goals that are tied specifically to the character. On top of this, they're also abandoning any sort of like career related events. So certain Uma Musume that reap benefits from this are like Narita Taishin, who has like scripted events that tank her mood and you know give you rewards for it later, but the mood tanking is super devastating, and all of her career goals are now just replaced with the standard generic Trackblazer goals. Every Uma Musume is like this. And so this comes with some benefits, this comes with some drawbacks, right? And not every Uma is necessarily suited for it. So some Uma Musume that are going to struggle, this is just good to keep in mind to know, are basically any Umas that have less than like a very low capability to get B rating in mile and medium racetracks. The reason why is because Trackblazer, this scenario, wants you to race a lot. So like, for example, we have this race schedule over here, right? These are example race schedules. These are example agendas, and we'll cover this in a bit. You're racing a lot. This is like a standard Uma Musume career in Trackblazer. You're going to be doing all these like little G3 races. These are the bronze sort of tablets, and pretty much every G1 you can race. And turns out that a lot of the G1s, a lot of the G3s, right, they happen to be in the mile medium category, with some in long, right? Not a lot in dirt, and not a lot in sprints. That's unfortunate, because what happens then is that these Umas that don't do well in mile or medium distance tracks just don't really have a good time with Trackblazer. Now, it's not impossible, okay? It's definitely not impossible to run these Umas, but they are going to typically struggle unless you have certain sparks to sort of offshore their weaknesses. So let's take a look at an example like Measure McQueen. So Measure McQueen, for instance, right, has an F in mile. And so in order for her to raise her mile aptitude rating to a B, I think B is the most acceptable. I think C is fine, but you're playing on hard mode if you have a C rating in mile, okay? In order for her to raise her F mile rating all the way up to B, she needs to have minimum 4 pink sparks. So what do I mean by that? So if you take a look at your Uma Musume, your Uma Musume has like 2 parents, right? And so they have 6 possible pink sparks. And so you would need 4 of those slots, 4 of these slots to have a pretty decently high star rating for mile. Specifically, you would need 10. You would need 10 stars of mile rating in order to raise her F rating all the way up to B for mile, so that she could race on these tracks, so that she could reap the benefits of the scenario. And so that's going to be really tough to do, but it's not impossible. What I would highly suggest doing if you are a new player or basically don't know where to find Uma Musume, where to find friends that have Umas that you could use as scenario or legacy Umas is I would use these sites. So a couple sites over here, you have Chronogenesis. So if I go over here, you have Chronogenesis friend search. You could take a look. I need mile rating. You would need at least like 7 here, and then you would have to have your own parent bring at least 3 in order to raise that F rating all the way to B. You could try to do C rating, but it's very, very hard, very difficult. You would find them over here, right? You could typically also do uma.moe. They have like a database over here, but all the links to the sites to find your different friends, different sparks are going to be here in this this whiteboard, which I'll have in the description below. Basically, all these Umas that I've listed here and more that I haven't listed here are going to struggle in Trackblazer because they need to run a lot of races, and in order to run a lot of races, you typically need mile and medium ratings. So why is that? Why, right? Why exactly do they need to run a lot of races? Well, in the Trackblazer scenario, what happens is, or rather the main scenario gimmick, is the fact that you have a shop that will be introduced somewhere like in after your debut, right? Where they offer different items. These items that you buy are able to give you like plus 15 stats, plus 7 stats. They're able to improve your Uma Musume's mood. They're able to give you energy. They're able to improve your bond with all your support cards. They're able to give you more race. But there's a lot of different items, and they all provide really good utility for your career run. And without the ability to run in as many races as possible, you are not going to get the coins that you need to buy these items, and thus you can't really take advantage of this scenario's gimmick. You might as well just be running like Unity or URA because you're not really interacting with everything that's going to give you a boost in this career scenario. And because you need to run a lot of races, you also need to be tailoring your deck to sort of accommodate this, right? You need to have decks with a lot of race bonus. And so race bonus is going to be very key, very critical, because every race gives you stats. So this is courtesy of uma.guide. They have like a table, and we have like in increments of 5 for race bonus. Like, what are you getting out of it? Well, if you're doing it like an OP race, right? If you're doing an OP race, you are getting like a certain amount of stats. This is a random stat. So like you get like 7 speed. Let's say you have 50% race bonus in your deck. You'll get like 7 speed, 7 power, 7 stamina. It's like a random stat, and you'll get 30 skill points, right? If you're using like a small hammer, right? Hammer is an item that allows you to get more race bonus. Then you'll get these stats and skill points, etc., etc. This is for G2 and G3s. This is for G1s, and this is for the Twinkle Star, which is at the very end of the career. There will be 3 races, sort of like the URA finale or the Unity Cup. Well, Unity Cup has the URA finale as well, right? So it's basically like that, right? And so the race bonus, they're gonna get all these stats and all these skill points. And keep in mind, you're gonna be racing, like you see these differences, and it's like, oh, it's just like 10 to 13. That's only 3 points difference. Keep in mind, you're doing like ideally around 25 to 30 races per career. So these small little differences in points add up a lot throughout the career for any Uma Musume that can take advantage of this scenario's gimmick and race a lot of races. All these race bonuses are going to add up. And so you want to have, the good rule of thumb is to have at least 50. If you can't get 50, it is what it is, you know, try and get at least close to it. But 50 is like the target number that pretty much everyone is going to want to run to be able to make an Uma that, like, let's say for competitive purposes in like champions meeting, right, is able to kind of compete. If you want to have really good horses for team trials as well, it's just a good idea to get 50 or above. 55 is okay. It's just not going to give you that much benefit. Like, there is some benefit, of course, to get 55. Like, you'll get more skill points, but it's just generally not like that significant of an increase. But 60 and 65 will give you pretty significant increases, either in stats or in skill points, especially when you're using the hammers, right? Like, take a look between 60 and 65, right? Your final races, which you're going to use gold hammers for, it's going to be a difference of 5 stats, and you have 3 Twinkle Star races at the end. So that's 15 stats. That's pretty big. That's a pretty significant number. So I would say to try and aim for 50 race bonus and higher if possible, right? Up to around 60, 65 is kind of a lot, but definitely if you can get there easily, do so. And so we have race bonus as like a sort of criteria to making our deck, which I'll have a video for in a separate video to kind of get into the more detail. But I have a quick and easy sort of guide as far as like what are cards that are good with high race bonus that typically we're going to see a lot of people have. One of the cards is this Marvelous Sunday card. This is a free event card that everyone is able to get max limit break, or at least they were if they did the event. And this one has like 15% race bonus. Okay, if we're looking at individual cards, you're going to see a lot of cards with 15% at most, 10% sometimes, and 5% is pretty much at least you want. There are a lot of more cards with 0% race bonus, but it's not going to be recommended that you use them in your deck. Marvelous Sunday has 15% race bonus. Nishino Flower has been in the game for a while now, and as a power card also offers 15% race bonus, which is definitely really necessary if you're trying to get to that 50% number if you're struggling. Ayabet, Admire Vega as a guts card, also provides 15% race bonus. It's one of the new cards though, and not a lot of people are going to have max limit break versions of it, but I highly suggest if you still have your gold uncapped crystals, your SR uncapped crystals, which you can find over here. You can go enhance, you could go uncap, but let's say I had a card over here that I wanted to uncap. I could use like gold uncapped crystals to uncap them. I would definitely say, like, if you're planning on running a guts deck, to use your crystals there. If you're not planning on running a guts deck, maybe you don't need to do that for exactly for this. I would say that if you're struggling to meet your race bonus, like at least 50%, 50%, then Admire Vega is something to consider uncapping and going all the way for, because 15% race bonus is quite a lot. Some other cards that you have 10% race bonus. This is the special week event card. Shinko Windy now has been in the game for a while now, and it's a speed SR card that a lot of people have. You have Super Creek that a lot of people have been advised to re-roll for. If you ever have max limit break, then she has 10% race bonus. Manhattan Cafe is an SR card that a lot of people might have. Same with Daitaka Helios. You have Hishi Amazon. This one is Yukino Bijin, which is a event guts card that has 10% race bonus if max limit break. Haru Urara is available in the shop, the friend shop over here. Okay, if you get all copies, if you have all the friend points, then this card itself is very nice because she has 10% race bonus when max uncapped. 5% over here, 5% in her unique perk. Besides that, Fine Motion is another card that a lot of people were advised to re-roll for. So if you have a max limit break, great, you have 10%. If you have a 3 limit break, it's 8%. That's still fine. That's still really, really good. Medro Dober, a free event card, 10%. You have Agnes Tachyon, Marvel Sunday. These are wit cards that's been in the game since the launch. That's 10%. You have Riko Kashimoto. If you have max limit break, then she offers 10%. If you have like 2 limit break like I do, then she only has like 7%. The SR speed cards. Tosin Jordan is a free event speed card that has 5% race bonus and pretty decent stat multiplier. So if you're free to play, this card was also offered recently. You can get max limit break from an event. You can't get it now, okay? Like, again, special week, Marvelous Sunday, these event cards, you can't get them now, but they were offered pretty recently, and they're able to give you that race bonus. Tosin Jordan is a pretty nice one. Mihono Bourbon is like a staple front runner card and has 5% race bonus to boot. So if you're running front runners, very, very nice. And Kitasan Black is another card that a lot of people have been advised to either re-roll for or spend for. And so hopefully if you have like max limit break version, you have 5% race bonus. She's a really good stat stick. And so like, even though she has low race bonus compared to everything above, she's definitely worth considering if, you know, you need a speed card stat stick with 5% race bonus. Besides that, you also have a borrow slot whenever you're making your deck, you know, you're playing your career, you can borrow 1 card from a friend. And this is also something where I would suggest you look for friends as well. You could look for cards specifically, right? And borrow these cards. And so the cards that I recommend that you guys borrow for are cards with high race bonus, especially if you're struggling to meet that race bonus count. And you can see over here, you have a 15% race bonus tier. If you're playing a Guts deck, I would recommend this Ikuno Dictus card. Otherwise, Sakura Chiyono is fine for pace chasers if you like already have a gold heal, say for like Agnes Tachyon, right? Agnes Tachyon has Race Planner. She also has a unique skill that heals her. So this card is a nice stamina card for Umas that already have heals. You have Nice Nature Wit card. This is 15% race bonus, which is massive. On top of that, she offers On Your Left, which is a key acceleration skill for late surges. Some people will say it's fake, but you know, it's a pretty good acceleration skill for late surgers, especially since they don't really have that many options. 10% race bonus cards. I would say if there's some nuance between like these two, okay? So if I'm taking a look at like between Narita Top Road and Machikana Fukukitaru, usually you're borrowing one or two of these, or sorry, you're borrowing one of these, okay? If you are struggling in your early races, so let's say like me, right? I play a lot of Machikane Fukukitaru, right? Machikane Tanhoiza. Machikane Tanhoiza on her own has D mile, and I raised it up to B. This makes her like B mile is acceptable, but it's still like kind of difficult to race in the early races. You need a pretty good amount of speed stat. And so if I need more speed, if I need more initial stats, if my early game is kind of weak compared to other Umas, then I would go for and borrow Machikana Fukukitaru, because if you look her up, maximum break, you borrow this, you get 150 starting stats, and that's why everyone had suggested like this card is really good. She has 10% race bonus, and she has 150 starting stats that she gives your Uma. And a lot of Umas are going to struggle in the early game when the early game just has a lot of mile races, okay? You're kind of dependent on mile races, especially in your junior year, okay? So Machikana Fukukitaru is like highly suggested, especially if you're struggling in the early career, struggling to do the races. And Narita Top Road is suggested if you're not really struggling. If you're not really struggling, then just go ahead and get Narita Top Road, because Narita Top Road as a borrow, if you're at max limit break, notice she has 20% training effectiveness when you have 200,000 fans. That's a lot. That's a lot of stats, okay? And on top of that, she has 10% race bonus, and so she's pretty much like the best stat stick for this scenario. And if you're not struggling on your early game, I would highly suggest getting this card if you're trying to get that speed stat up. Otherwise, you know, Biko Pegasus is a very good speed card, speed stat stick as well. You have Sweet Tosho, which is really nice for end closers. I believe she comes with straightaway spurt, if I'm not mistaken. Super Creek has Swinging Maestro and 10% race bonus. You have Admire Vega power card, which comes with Daring Strike. Daring Strike is a fantastic end closer velocity skill. It's basically like Goldship's ultimate. You have Fine Motion, her wit card as well, as a very good wit stat stick that you could borrow. Otherwise, like Kitasan Black, if you really need another stat stick, but it's 5% race bonus, it's kind of tough. And Maya no Top Gun, this is for Head On, which is a pace chaser acceleration skill, or it's for Restless, a front runner healing skill. And finally, you have Yukino Bijin, which Yukino Bijin seems like weird, but Yukino Bijin has No Stopping Me, and No Stopping Me is a very good acceleration skill that was very common in the Unity Cup, because basically everyone got it at the end of the scenario. That is not the case in Make a New Track. No Stopping Me is very hard to get, and so Yukino Bijin is one of the very few sources of No Stopping Me. That said, she's kind of hard to get your right stat line with Yukino Bijin. Sometimes you can't choose, you know what I mean? So another tip, right? Not only do you have like all these stats that are upgraded with the hammers, you also have epithets. Now, we've had epithets before, right? If you go to your Uma, you change, all their titles, all their epithets are over here. But now in Make a New Track, in Trackblazer, they also give you stats. So like, let's say you're going for the triple tiara, you want to win the Okusho, Japanese Dukes, and Shukasho. After you do that, then Akikawa will come out and she'll congratulate you, and she'll give you 2 random stats plus 10. And then you could get even more stats, right? Let's say you acquired Heroine, this epithet, and you also won the Queen Elizabeth II Cup. You get another reward for stats. Queen Uma Musume, you do all these requirements, you get 30 stats because 2 random stats plus 15, right? There's just a lot of different rewards in stats. Yes, they're random, but it's just raw numbers. You're getting so much by doing these races, by completing them. If you want the full list of them, okay, I would check out uma.guide. Uma.guide, fantastic site by the guys behind Victoria Frontier. All the epithets here, all the achievements that your Uma Musume can earn and get stat upgrades for it are all listed over here in uma.guide/guides Trackblazer, okay? But basically, just to kind of summarize it, what exactly do you want to do, or what are most Uma Musumes gonna do? You're either gonna go for the triple crown route or the triple tiara route. In real life horse racing, male horses, they usually go for the triple crown races, which is basically the Satsuki show, the Tokyo Yushin, otherwise known as the Japanese Derby, and finally in late October, the Kikuka show, or otherwise known as Kika show, okay? And by doing this, this is for typically male horses, though mares and female horses can participate. You go this route if you have good aptitude in mile, medium, and long distances, okay? If you have good aptitude in mile, medium, and long distances, then you're going to get a lot of stats just by basically doing this route. You don't have to do like every one of these bronze ones, right? All the G3s, G2s. It's really mainly the G1s that you ought to do, okay? Besides the triple crown route, you also have the triple tiara route. Now, in real life, you have mares, you have female horses that instead of going for the triple crown, they can compete strictly against other mares, against other female horses, and participate in the triple tiara route. And to do that, they have to race in the Oka show, the Japanese Oaks, and the Shuka show. You cannot do triple crown and triple tiara at the same time because they literally happen on the same day. So like, or rather the same month period. Oka show is on the same time as Satsuki show. Japanese Oaks is the same time as the Tokyo Yushin, and the Shuka show is the same time as the Kikuka show. But they are different in terms of like the races that they cover. Typically speaking, if you don't really have strong long distance ratings, I would go for the triple tiara route because the Shuka show itself is just a medium distance race, okay? And you can kind of ignore the long distance race like Tenosho Spring, right? Is something to you can skip, and the Arima Kinens at the end of every year. First things first, when you're like doing all your races, you don't have to memorize all these races, right? But the general rule of thumb is race in any G1 you can win. In any G1 you think you can win, race in all of them, right? Pretty much all of them. The only exception is maybe the Yasuda Kinen, which also appears on the classic year early June, okay? For both of them. Pretty much in every G1, you want to race every G1 as long as you can confidently win it. And for the triple tiara, these would be the races that you run. And if you do that, you get all these stats, right? And you should be able to take full advantage of this career. Not only are you getting these additional stats from getting all these different epithets, right? You're also earning shop coins. In Make a New Track, in Trackblazer, there's a coin shop, okay? That's noted by this icon here with Tazuna, right? And this green little coin with some number. And this shop is going to populate and fill with certain items, okay? The items, you can find a list of them in the Game Tora website, okay? All of the items are over here. And we're gonna kind of go over very quickly, like, what should you spend your shop coins on, and what situations would you use them, okay? And it's very quick, it's not that hard. Essentially, right, for the items, you have the stat items, okay? All these notepads suck, okay? Don't buy the notepads. Notepads are really bad in terms of shop coins to the stats that you gain. They're very bad. Just avoid them. Just never buy them. There's never a good situation to buy these notepads, okay? The manuals are totally great. And what you probably want to do, you definitely want to like even have more special favorites to the speed manual, especially in the early game, right? Because what is the struggle for someone like Machigana Tannhäuser, for example, right? Who has only B mile rating and needs to win in the early game, needs to win those early mile races. Well, she needs speed, okay? If your distance aptitudes are low, then what you need is speed to compensate. So you really want speed, but every manual is good. Definitely buy them. And absolutely every scroll is good. Buy every scroll that you can get. These are just straight up money in terms of stats. They're very, very good. So besides the stats, we have energy. Now, for energy, these are the selections, right? And again, the shop will populate with a random selection of any of these items, okay? Any of these items. But if you see the energy items, okay? Typically, Vita 20 is pretty good. You get plus 20 energy. And plus 20 energy is useful when you're at 0 energy, which you'll find yourself at 0 energy quite often if you're doing the scenario correctly. And when you're at 0 energy, you use Vita 20, you'll get 20 energy. And when you do a wit training, wit training's failure rate when you're at 20 energy is around 25-ish%. And because it's a pretty low chance, and after doing the wit training, you'll get energy, this is pretty good. This is pretty much like you always want to get this item, okay? It's very efficient in terms of how much it costs and how much energy it gives you. And then typically speaking, you're either racing right after you use this or you're doing wit training to get yourself even more energy. Everything else is totally fine. 40 is great. 65 is great. Royal Kale Juice is great. It does give you -1 mood. So, you might want to pair this with the cupcakes, which replenish that mood, that give you mood back, okay? Energy drink max. This is a weird one. It is cheaper than Vita 20, but it only gives 5 energy. And typically you're only really going to use this if you're at 0 energy and you need to race. And why is that? Well, if you are at 0 energy and you need to race, what happens is you want to refer to this chart. You can also find this on uma.guide/guides Trackblazer. And this is what happens when you are racing consecutively. If you've been doing this scenario correctly, you're racing a lot, okay? For the first race, you're not going to have any penalty really, okay? Unless you're at 0 energy. If you're at 0 energy and you're racing, you have a 15% chance for your Uma Musume to have an event after that just tanks their mood. You have a 4% chance for them to develop skin outbreak. This is a condition that they get. And essentially at the end of every turn, they have a chance to even lower their mood further. Besides that, right, or rather, because of the consecutive races, or rather, because there's a penalty for racing with 0 energy, you basically want to avoid that at all costs. And so this energy drink max is like, it's less price than the Vita 20, and so it has its kind of niche purpose there, okay? You don't want to race with 0 energy. 2 times. As long as you have 1 energy or above, you're good, right? As long as you have more than 1 energy, like pretty much you're always good. It's when you get to 3 races that it's kind of a little scary. And so when you have 3 races, you have a 60% chance for your Uma Musume to lose mood. Not too big of a deal, okay? Because again, we have cupcakes. Cupcakes can improve your mood, and having like good mood or normal mood isn't like the end of the world for Trackblazer, because you're running races most of the time anyway, and all of the mood increases. Like if you're going from normal to good, it's just a 2% increase to all your stats. Normal to great is just a 4% increase to all your stats. So mood is not like super important. Of course, you want your mood to be in good places when you plan to train, but in order to just complete races, like mood isn't like the biggest thing. So 3 races I would say is like pretty safe to do, so long as you have energy. If you don't have energy, don't do like your 3rd race. You need to get energy somehow, because if you're doing your 3rd race, there's a 100% chance you lose mood. There's a 25% chance you get skin outbreak if you have 0 energy. If you have some energy, then it's just a 15%. I'd say that's pretty negligible. I think that's an acceptable risk. But there's no chance to get this disastrous event, which is to take -30 stats. But once you're at the 4th race and above, that is when you have a 40% chance to just tank your stats. It doesn't matter if you have 100 energy, 1 energy, or 0 energy. You have a 40% chance to tank 30 stats. That's just way too high of a risk. Just doesn't make any sense at all. So never do 4 races in a row. You never ever want to do 4 races in a row, basically, right? Because you're gonna get like 100% chance for mood break. You have 33% chance for skin outbreak. You never want to do 4 races in a row. It's almost never worth it, unless, okay, there's one exception, and the exception is this is your 4th race, right? If the 4th race is at the end of the year, then what happens is that your Uma Musume will have like a scripted event, and it will never suffer the repercussions of having that 4th race in a row. Okay, if your 4th race, 5th race, 6th race, somehow, I don't know why you would do that, but you know, 4th over race is at the end of the year, then it's safe to do. It's safe to do. You'll never get any punishment for it. But in general, you just never want to do 4 races in a row. Besides that, we have bond items. There's just 2. Yummy cat food is just not very useful. It's for Director Akikawa's bond to increase. It's not useful at all. You have grilled carrots, which is great in the early game, or when you just have Uma Musume and support cards that don't have 80 bond. If they don't have 80 bond, then they're not going to be able to give you friendship training. If they're not giving you friendship training, then when you need to train, it's just not going to be very good. Okay, so never buy yummy cat food, you know, unless you really like cats. But grilled carrots is almost always you buy, especially if you have bonds to increase to 80. 80, by the way, is when the bond meter is orange. Okay. Get good conditions. These are items that give your Uma Musume conditions. You have an item that gives you charming, which is, you know, pretty good if you could get it in junior year or like early classic year, right? If you get it early enough, this is pretty good. Otherwise, it's a pretty huge investment. I would pretty much never ever get these 2 items. The Hot Topic, I don't care. The Practice Perfect, I don't care. Practice Perfect just reduces your training fail rate by 2%. That's just not very worth it, in my opinion. You could get Scholar's Hat. There's a lot of debate about whether or not this Scholar's Hat is good. If you're getting it, you're in a situation where you didn't really spend your coins, blah, blah, blah. My sort of thing is like, if it's late enough in the game and, you know, you can afford it, it's a lot of coins. It's a whole lot. Then go ahead and get it. But I would never like try and save for a Scholar's Hat, because the chances to get a Scholar's Hat is pretty small, and that's a lot of coins you're just saving, not spending it like getting stats. You're not spending it getting energy. You're not spending it getting mood or bonds. It's just a lot of coins to be holding on to. Okay, so I would say, like, if it's there, if you have the coins, get it. Obviously, it's super good, but I would never really save for Scholar's Hat. It's just a pretty low chance to get it. You have heal bad conditions, items that will heal bad conditions. Basically, none of these are good except for Rich Hand Cream and Miracle Cure. Okay, none of the other ones. Obviously, if you're like suffering from slow metabolism, you see Smart Scale in the shop, buy it. It's gonna cure it, obviously. I would pretty much never proactively buy one of these items. I would never buy these items to keep in my backpack unless it was Rich Hand Cream. I would always like to keep one of these because, again, if you take a look at the consecutive race risk, you have like on the 3rd race, which I do suggest you do 3rd race, that's totally fine. You have a 15% chance to develop Skin Outbreak, which can tank your mood continuously. This is always a good item to have in your bag just in case, like, you have one. Miracle Cure, it's pretty expensive, but like if you're under a negative status effect, it's super good, obviously. But otherwise, yeah, it's nice to have just like one in the bag just in case. Okay, so I would definitely say like having one of these definitely doesn't hurt, but it's definitely not a higher consideration than something like these scrolls or like energy. It's something to consider. Training facilities. Essentially, this is going to depend on how you built your deck. If you just want the short and easy, then only really get this for like speed and wit. But otherwise, like if you have like a guts deck and you have a lot of guts cards, obviously like this is pretty good, right? Guts training level +1 is pretty good. And to be clear, it doesn't matter when you use these applications, okay? What it does is that in Make a New Track and Trackblazer, to level up your training facilities, you just have to train in that facility 4 times. Any of these things, they just simulate it as if you clicked on it 4 times. If you trained in these facilities 4 times, that's what it does for you, right? It gives you it 4 times. And so it doesn't matter when you use it. It's not like optimal to like, oh, I just upgraded my facility, let me use it then and there. No, you just use it as soon as you're able to. I think it just automatically uses it anyway. I probably would never do stamina or power, but I would do guts if I had a lot of support cards that were guts cards, and so I like to do guts training. Besides that, this reset whistle is one of the best items to buy. It is like God tier, SSS tier to buy. Reset whistles are great. They're very cheap. And not only that, they let you fish continuously for friendship trainings. What it does is just like when you look at your training options, you see your Uma Musume are randomly in this training. Kita-san is never in speed training, right? You just pop a reset whistle and then it'll let you see if Kita-san will want to be in speed training then and there, right? You could do this an infinite amount of times within a single turn. And so until you get the distribution that you want. So God tier is a very, very good item. God tier in summer anyway. I think it's God tier anywhere because like you're going to train 3 times at the end of your career as well. And that's usually when your facilities are all leveled up, when your bonds are all leveled up. And so it's just very, very good. Okay, so especially summer, it's good. Overall, this is just so cheap. It just doesn't make sense to not buy this. Besides that, you have the training effects. This will give you training bonus for any training that you do. Okay. And so I would say coaching megaphone is not typically very good unless you're in the junior year. And unless you're in the junior year. But typically speaking, like I almost never buy this. Motivating megaphone, plus 40%, very good. Plus 60%, very good. Sometimes, ideally, you're popping like 2 of these in the summer, right? Because there's 4 turns in the summer. So you're doing 4 trainings in the summer with this. Amazing, right? Typically very good with summer training is the good luck charm. 40 coins for a good luck charm says training failure rate is set to 0. All the training. So you could pick any training you want. The training failure rate is 0. You could be at 0 energy and everything is set to 0% failure rate, which is very good. You especially want to do it when you have 0% energy. But when you really need a train to go off, right? You're really scared of it failing, then good luck charm is always going to be very good. It's going to save your summers. It's going to save your last trainings. It's you want to stockpile this. You want to have as many as you can. It's a very, very good item. Besides that, we have the ankle weights. The ankle weights just give you more bonus for certain training and at the cost of having more energy consumption. This is worth it. It's typically very, very worth it. Speed ankle weights, I almost will always buy, and I'll buy multiple. I'll keep multiple of them. But otherwise, stamina, ankle, or power, guts, I'll maybe have like 1 of them. Unless I was like doing a guts deck and I really wanted to do a lot of guts training, I would probably stockpile these. But speed ankle weights are pretty safe to stockpile. They are expensive though, so just keep that in mind, okay? And yes, you can only have a maximum of 5 of any of these items. All right, any of these items you can only have a maximum of 5. And do ankle weights stack with megaphone? Someone in chat asked a brilliant question. Yes, they do. So you want to be like empowering megaphone, speed ankle weights, good luck charm, go. All right, that's what you want to do in a summer. Okay, that's what you really want to do for a turn in your summer. You want to activate all these and just do them. Okay. Besides that, you have the race bonus items. These are the last items, I swear. You have the hammers. Okay, hammers can give you race bonus. Typically, basically for these, like you just want to buy as many as you can. Ideally, because in Trackblazer, your last 3 races, these are called the Twinkle Star races. There's last 3 races after the career, after the last Arima Kinen. This is ideally you want to have 3 golden hammers for it. Now, before entering the Twinkle Star, your shop will refresh and will continue, or rather, be stockpiled with more items. Okay, before entering Twinkle Star, you'll get more items, and typically, you know, there's a high chance that there will be hammers. It's not like guaranteed, but there's a high chance there will be hammers offered in the shop. Ideally, you're gonna have 3 gold hammers for those 3 races. That way, you're gonna get like this, these stats, right? So like a bunch of stats. You get 110 stats for each race. That's amazing. Ideally, you have 3 of them, but like if you don't, that's fine. But besides just the Twinkle Star races, you want to use these for your G1 races. Okay, your G1 races. If you don't have gold hammers, right, then use the silver hammers. There's not really like any kind of nuance to it. It's like you use what you can get. You use the highest one that you can use. while trying to save for 3 gold hammers in Twinkle Star. My rule of thumb, personally, is that by the end of the career, I want to have at least 1 gold hammer in my backpack. That way, when the shop is newly stocked, because we enter into the Twinkle Star phase, I will have a good chance of getting like another gold hammer and a silver hammer. And sometimes you'll get like 3 gold hammers in the shop. There's a high chance for it, okay? So I like to keep 1 gold hammer in my backpack for the end of the career. Besides that, you have glow sticks, raised fan gain plus 50%. Pretty useless in most cases. Those are the use cases for every single item in Trackblazer, okay? And yeah, I think that should help you out a lot with like, what do I use these items? When do I use them? All right, that was a lot to cover. Hopefully my editor can cut it all down and make it a little more easier for you guys to watch. But if this was helpful to you at all, if you have any tips, leave a comment below, leave a like and subscribe. Use code MAMA for 10% off your gamer subs. I will see you on the next one. Peace.